Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Friday, January 24th, 2014. This morning I am beginning with a couple of articles about what's going on in Ukraine. And I've seen some headlines and I've seen a lot of tweets, and I quite honestly am not absolutely sure who's on, from a liberty point of view, what we would consider the good guy's side and the bad guy's side. I really have not analyzed this yet, but I just have a couple of articles. This one from RT, Ukrainian president ready for government reshuffle and review of anti-protest laws. So that is probably the latest information. But evidently David Icke feels that the protesters are probably not on the side of liberty and justice. Highly militarized rioters attempt to start civil war in Ukraine. So that's the point of view represented here by David Icke. And again, I don't, who knows what it's about. Maybe some kind of destabilization so that if there is a terror attack on Russia, it can be blamed on these people, even though it comes from Al-Qaeda or something. Who knows? I really have not processed this enough to have a strong opinion about what's going on, but there must be some significance here, just based on the proximity to Russia, the relationship with Russia, the history with Russia, and conflict is never good, right? We want, of course, we're willing to go through confrontation to achieve peace and liberty and justice, but it's better to have peace overall. From Infowars.com, nation's largest cocaine smuggler revealed, the DEA. And of course, this is not new news, but it's always helpful to remember these things. There are so many aspects of the struggle for liberty and justice that remembering what all of them are and the significance of all of them and how they are all interrelated is crucial. Here from Zero Hedge, hacked CNN reports China dumps all U.S. bonds. And this was very dramatic yesterday. This was, if you were paying attention and you saw this headline, it could rock your world. This is when it was hacked. This is what it said: CNN Politics, political ticker breaking: China dumps all bonds, declares South China Sea closed zone. And if this were true, this would be a world changer. I mean, this is almost grab Maurice and enter shelter level of breaking news if it was true. So this kind of thing is, I think it's very dangerous. And according to this article from Infowars, it was the Syrian electronic army that hacked CNN accounts amid Geneva 2 talks. So this, and it was hackers claiming to be from the Syrian electronic army, broke into CNN's Twitter and Facebook accounts and one of the news channel's blogs on Thursday. The hacks occur amid the Geneva 2 peace talks between government and opposition representatives. And CNN's Twitter account sent messages such as Syrian Electronic Army was here, stop lying, all your reports are fake. And don't forget, Al-Qaeda is Al-Qaeda, funded, armed, and controlled. So it appears that this was, what we might consider freedom fighters who did the hacking. But in many respects, this kind of thing just really seems irresponsible because of the widespread, fear and panic as a result of some of these stories, and certainly a lot of loose generation, which feeds demonic entities and is not helpful to us. So just an example of how much terror is being released, and even if it's not physical terror of buildings blowing up and the like. There are many things going on that make it difficult to accurately process and have a sound response to the world around us. And from Mises Economics blog, legislating banking confusion through conflicting laws. And this is just another layer of, confusion through conflicting laws. And there is a lot of intentional disturbance and confusion that's been thrown at us. A couple weeks ago, I had an article in the video about a planned attack on people's emotions and keeping people confused, off balance intentionally. That's actually a mind control technique, is to keep people off balance and unsure and emotionally unstable, so that they're more suggestible and can be more easily manipulated. And from Infowars.com, 19 numbers which prove that Americans are angrier and more frustrated than ever. And again, this is another aspect of the intentional effort by the evil cabal to make us confused, emotionally on edge, afraid, unsure of ourselves, unsure of the future. And this is, if whatever we can do to overcome this, to remain balanced and founded. Of course, for anybody who is a Christian, we have the Word of God and just our relationship with Him, trust in the future, and trust in the Lord, that knowing that He, there's a Bible verse that says, I've prepared for you a future and a hope. And God has prepared for us a future and a hope, no matter how bleak or threatening things appear to be or feel. We do have a future and a hope, and God intends good for us. So remembering that can be helpful. It can be difficult at times. It can be a struggle to keep that foremost in our minds, but it's essential. We have to be able to make decisions from a frame of reference that is rational, not just wildly emotional, reacting to things. We will sign our own death warrants if we can't process things rationally and make sound decisions. So it's very important to do that, and to not be one of these people who is frustrated and confused. From myfoxnewyork.com is an article about American Olympic athletes warned about wearing team gear. The State Department is telling American athletes competing in the upcoming Sochi Winter Olympics to avoid wearing team gear outside the Games venues amid growing concerns over terrorist threats in the Russian resort town, the Wall Street Journal reported. And, interesting that they feel that Americans might be singled out. I think worldwide, a lot of people are really fed up with Americans and with our foreign policy, with our running around telling everybody how they should live their lives. And this article actually goes on to state that there are Olympic athletes who are really strongly discouraging their families from attending the games because they feel that there might be danger there. Now, obviously that is not a response of faith. That is kind of a fear response. But, sometimes you determine the risks to rewards and just make a decision not to do something. And certainly it is, there is probably risk in attending the games, although we can pray and ask God to extend peace to the games and to expose and prevent any terror attacks or any kind of evil mischief. But I think this is just a sign of, again, the unrest, the confusion, the fear. The world that we live in feels very dangerous to a lot of people, and that does generate luge, and luge is one of the things, along with blood sacrifice, that demonic entities, dark entities, evil entities feed on. So it's best if we can avoid these negative emotions as much as possible. And speaking of negative emotions, from Divine Cosmos, David Wilcock put out one of his rare blogs yesterday. They're typically monthly, but sometimes a little less frequent than monthly. The Polar Vortex, a physical manifestation of the chilling effect of NSA surveillance. And of course there's a question mark at the end of that sentence, but David Wilcock is proposing that human emotions determine the weather, and that the cold weather that's being experienced by much of the country has to do with people being, the chilling effect because of the NSA. And he states that actual phrase has been used to describe how people feel about the NSA, the chilling effect. And if I can find it scrolling down here, he actually has a list of different human emotions and how they impact upon the earth. And here it is: the symbolism of catastrophes. The catastrophes also tell us a story through symbolism that reveals why they are happening. Each of the 4 elements in traditional astrology, water, fire, earth, and air, has a story to tell in terms of natural disasters. Water reflects emotion, and particularly grief and sadness. Sudden abundances of water, such as floods and tsunamis, can occur in response to powerful, sustained sorrow in a majority of the people in that area. Similarly, droughts can indicate an inability or unwillingness to grieve and to face our own pain. Fires and volcanic eruptions can occur when there is a widespread outbreak of anger among many people in a given area. Earthquakes can indicate a lack of grounding and an overall inability to keep ourselves stable on an emotional level. Hurricanes and tornadoes, explosions of air, reflect an overabundance of mental focus, and particularly of stress and anxiety. And just as a little note here, this really struck a chord with me, because here in California we are in a severe drought. Some people say it's the worst drought in 100 to 150 years. Some people say it's the worst drought ever that anybody is aware of. And this issue here of droughts indicating an inability or unwillingness to grieve and to face our own pain, probably nowhere I've ever been has that been more a part of the reality of the people who live in a place than in California. People in California, from my experience, will do just about anything to avoid facing pain. And certainly now, there is, as I began this video with talking about some of the, the confusion, the fear, this is a time in which it's really crucial to process what we're feeling and what is troubling us, and determine, why am I troubled by that, and hopefully be able to move on from there. And my prayer would certainly be that we in California would have the ability to grieve and to face our own pain, and to come out of this season of drought. Here is an article that I found rather interesting, probably bordering on good news at least. From CBS Chicago: McDonald's fighting to be relevant to customers, CEO concedes. So evidently, people are becoming aware that it is not in their best interest to eat at McDonald's. Short term, it might make you feel good, but long term, it will very likely make you sick and potentially bring you to an earlier grave, just because of, if nothing else, GMOs and preservatives and the HFCS in the soft drinks, and maybe this is a sign that people are waking up in very fundamental ways, becoming more aware of their bodies and what is good for their bodies and what is bad for their bodies. And I can't read this article without thinking about the movie Branded, in which little marketing demons gave people a passion for food that made them fat, and the devil, it appeared, helped the marketing people to craft a approach that would encourage people to be fat, that it would make it cool to be fat, sexy to be fat. And of course, at the end of the film, the sushi place won out and people started to eat healthy. So it was a happy ending, and a very wise man was able to get the marketing demons to kill each other, and there was no more advertising. What kind of a world would that be? How great would that be? And from Communities Digital News, New Hampshire House Committee unanimously approves anti-NDAA bill. So that is definitely our good news of the day, and that is very good news. States are resisting tyranny quite effectively in some places and quite passionately. So, hey, we got that going for us. And with that, thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. It is Friday, so I will wish you a pleasant and peaceful and restful weekend. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.